So, Satya, like, if I want to ask you, like, tell me about yourself, like the journey that you had from the part where you started your education and till where you are right now. Can you describe about that, maybe in a brief sentence, in your words?
In a small brief, I started from nowhere, and something my parents would consider I'm in a good position. My friends would consider I'm in a very good position. Anybody who is very close to me would consider like I am in a very good position. I have climbed my way, worked hard. Uh, if a friend describes me as like I'm a hard worker, never stops, hustler, dream a lot, and love making money, spend little, live a stoic kind of a life.
All right. So, where did it all started? What was the first, let's say, like an idea or an inspiration? So everyone, once they finish after graduation, everyone will be moving to a company. They want to
Yeah.
earn, they want to get the salary, get paid. And what makes you to quit your full-time job and push you to pursue your entrepreneurial dreams?
Absolutely. My entrepreneurial dream, I would say it started when I was 12. I was just doing my fifth, sixth grade. Even I think it was before that also. My father was having so much debt that time. He happened to like close his business running and then have a small petty shop kind of a thing. In his small shop, he has a lot of chocolate bottles, different things. What I used to is usually he gives me some pocket money to spend some 2 3 rupees to spend in my school. But nowadays, when I was in fifth grade, he doesn't do that. Because of that, what I did is I took a couple of chocolates from his shop and then go into school, sell it, make use of the money. And when I found a way to make money out of nowhere, I did it very frequently and then uh, grabbed, had a couple of pennies. When somebody inquired about my mom or dad inquired about where you get this money, I tell them that I am making a business out of it. And later it became very common. My dad taught me how to make kites, and there are only few people in my small town know how to make kites. And I started making it. I started making out of a business, a business out of it, and then started selling it from just my home to my friends, and it became a little bit viral. In a summer holidays, it helped me make somewhere around some 200 300 rupees, which is a very big thing for me at the time. Just sixth grade guy with couple of hundred rupees is good stuff. And later the year, I had a huge craze to PlayStation video games, and I fought my way with my dad to buy me a PlayStation. He didn't have the money, but still somehow after like fighting it for more than 6 months, 1 year, and he bought me a used PlayStation. After buying, I had a huge happiness in my face. But when I see my dad with not doing well his life, we are struggling. Mom, dad used to like fight sometime about how are we going to pay the loans piled up, how are we going to handle family, everything. I little bit feel bad that I may be one of the reasons to make them do this. And just found a way that there is another PlayStation shop nearby to my home, and they used to make money just by renting it. And what I did is we had a small TV, additional spare TV in my house, and I used it to invite my friends, connected it with PlayStation, and then started charging half an hour, pay me 5 rupees, and then you can use this PlayStation. And it paid well. That summer I got more 100 rupees. Like I had more than 20,000, 2,000 or something around that. And then it really made me feel like, okay, this can go big stuff. And I started doing it very frequently. Every day after school, I used to do this. My name got viral in the town. A lot of people around the town started coming to my house and just playing. I somehow got my parents to open a savings account in a nearby post office. Every day I go to the post office, deposit the money. I don't know where this habit came from. It's completely like my complete family is doing or doing parents business. So my grandfather, great grandfather, dad, everybody were into small business only. some general merchant, like 3 generation, 4 generation before, they were farmers, but still used to give loans. Coming from that family, I don't know why, how I had this habits of like saving money. So I did it very well. Nobody forced me. But I saved every day. Twice I go. I just, whenever I have money in my hand, I just go to the post office, deposit that. Even 20 rupees, 30 rupees, I used to deposit. I still have that passbook with me. Couple of years back, I found it, and I still have it with me. And a couple of just year after I had looking my passbook, it has good amount of money which I can buy one more PlayStation. And I did it. I bought another PlayStation and started expanding how to make money double. And the question, asking myself how to make money double, really worked well. It gave me a bunch of answers. And there is a small space in front of my house, used to park cycles over there. And we turned that place into a game center. And more people can come now. We can accommodate, and then more people can come play. I can make more money. And this worked really well, and my money started doubling. So this is how it all started. After that, did bunch of things wherever my interest going, where most of the things wherever my curiosity was. And just if I just wanted to buy a phone, I make a business out of it. I try to buy bunch of phones at a wholesale price, sell remaining phones, and keep one phone with me. I buy a phone at the discount, also make money out of it. So this is how this was how my childhood had been. And completely into making money and exploring wherever my interest in. A lot of things into gaming, internet, computers. From 8th grade, it been computer, couple of coding stuff, and then from 12th grade, purely into startups. Um, when I completed my school in my hometown, came to the nearby city, which is Chennai, to me, to do pursue my bachelor's degree. And I didn't enjoy from the day one itself. So I started looking for opportunities. Fortunately, somebody gave me a small job at Food Panda, and then later, in a couple of weeks, when I proved myself, and they gave me a part-time role. And then it was great 2 years stinted there. They really recognized, even though I was underage at the time, to do a proper job. I did something, and once I was 18, they gave me a part-time job, and it really worked well. From there, when the Food Pandas, whoever the mentor I had, moved to another startup who took me along with them, and then I worked with them again, and then again and again. Completely my life, last 7 8 years been with only startups. And that what really made me to continue my journey into startups and some sort of entrepreneurial career.
Okay. So I can correlate with my experience also, because I never been worked with any so-called MNCs, right? So I have experience in only building startups. Like once out of college, I joined in a startup which builds mobile and web applications. And after that also, I've been in a startup like for the past uh, 6 7 years. So working there full time and also building my own tech company. And is that can you find like people who work in the startups are more enthusiastic to start their own startup? Is there any correlation between them? What's your point on that?
Yeah, people, first of all, who will be willing to join a startup, something different from them, who understands actually the intrinsic value of why working with startup makes sense. And since they already know the intrinsic value, they find it better to work with the, like, build a startup to multiply that value. Like if working with a startup gives them X value output, doing their own startup gives like X 100x times.
Exactly.
So they think that the value is there, and the impact they can create also doubles. The comfortable, the freedom they will get when they do their own, what they can do is magic. Like nothing can stop them. That kind of a feeling when they realize, okay, this is there and I can get it. It's just the time. And this only happens when they understand the basics of it. So that's why people who choose us to work in a tech startup, eventually there is a high chance of them getting into building their own startup.
That's exactly my point too. So Satya, like, so moving forward, and what creates you, or at what point you realize that that you should start a company called Bulkpe, or let's say, like, at what point you realized there's a problem right there in the market that which I need to be solved, and how that happens? Like, tell me about it.
Got it. So your question is, what is the trigger to start Bulkpe?
Exactly.
Is it? My
Exactly.
internet is a bit. Am I audible to you?
Yeah, you are perfectly good.
Awesome. So when I was working in my last company, the last startup I was working with called Hipto, they were into fintech. They created a good API stack for any business in India can plug into their tech system and then can is really quite well. We process more than 30 billion worth of transaction volume and processing like 100 million transactions. We were the new age fintech who is in third position, like considering the volumes. We were just next to Razorpay and Cashfree. And that kind of volume we did, all being a very silent, small team. We were just a 12 member team at the time. And what we competed with our competitors having more than 1,000 plus 2,000 plus people, and we were able to achieve a lot. And while I was working there, I know the fintech industry, at least a good amount of understanding into the fintech industry. And then we were sitting on top of a huge pile of data, right? This $30 billion data. I was given the opportunity, and I made a lot of insights out of it. One of the good insight is small businesses started accepting payments like via QR codes, and then converting the money into physical cash by going to ATM, withdrawing it, or still using the very old method of writing check. So found that there is no good mechanism for making payments for businesses. For individuals, we always have UPI apps. For businesses, there are multiple challenges, so many challenges that needs to be solved. So that was exactly trigger. I started talking to potential customers for Bulkpe, and most of them shown interest. Most of them told there are too many other problems as well in banking for them. So it was the trigger, and finding multiple white spaces which no other startups has solved. And since it's a unorganized segment, it is very hard to solve as well. And it is always good to find interesting problems that is very hard to solve. A mode can be superbly created. Was the trigger for me to, okay, let's get into this and try. And we built a small beta in a couple of months, and then a year after started like running Bulkpe. The partners become full-time, and then now building it full-time.
Okay. That's really nice to hear that you identified a problem, and then you had a chance to conversation with the initial customers. So there are business out there, like I'll call them like ICP, ideal customer profile, right? So people used to build a product, and then they try to find their ideal customer profile, and then they try to solve the problem for them, like you know so this is like initial. Even I have done the same mistakes, right? So the first startup which I started, like Bulkpe Technologies, which delivers medicine to their doorsteps, right? We were like discussing about let's say, like, we had to build like Grofers or Zepto, right? But we had no chance of talking to the initial customers and understand what really the problem is and take it forward from there. So we just built our mobile applications and we just build the entire tech stack for them, and once we give it to them, like they, what does it really mean to me? Like I can just call the nearby pharmacy stores and ring them or just text them in WhatsApp to deliver it for me. Why do I need to install the application? So that's a major, first striking force that we had, like how to understand a customer's problem, right? So to tell me about something like, so how do you guys like understand customers' problem at a first phase, right? So you had all the data, you had all the customers, but how do you find who is your ideal customers, and how do you understand their problem? I mean, like how do
It's
you
a
understand that's the problem for them? It needs to be solved.
absolutely. We are at very early stage, I would say. We haven't validated problem. Like when a problem and solution combines together, like businesses problems might be one, but the solution might be completely different, which could actually solve the root cause. We haven't completely went out of the market yet, out to the market yet. So it's very early to give a proper answer to your questions. But what we did to understand the initial problem sets of problems and how we can solve this by talking to customers, and we built a beta product to test it out as well, because a lot of times what businesses say and do is totally different. They say something when we ask, but they are comfortable because of some XY reasons. So in order to validate our thesis, validate what they are saying, we need to do it in a real life manner. And that's what we did with our beta product. We launched a beta product to assess all these, to experiment a lot of things. All these were done while we were working with our past startup full time itself. And we did it during our evenings and nights. Whenever the office time is over, we just focus on the Bulkpe product, and then we did it really well. We spoke with more than hundreds of near to 200 customers, potential customers on a daily basis. We created bunch of different marketing campaigns just to understand customers, just to talk to them, get an opportunity to talk to them. And then done the beta product, launch the beta product, continuously do A/B testing, create different kinds of byproducts on top of it in order to test whether this will help, that will help, whether is this a problem for them. And we were able to, okay, I assume with a small set of audience, if this is working, this will work for a large set of audience as well. And this is where we are today at completing, still in the beta zone, but about to go to the public mass market.
Mm-hmm. All right. So Satya, like, help me understand how talking to your customer is more important, right? So people who are trying to build a product, right? So there are multiple co-founders or startup enthusiasts who are so passionate about a problem, and but without realizing, is that really need to be a problem to be solved without talking to a customer, or let's say the ideal customer profile, right? So how important is that? Because you have generously had a conversation with 200 plus of your ICPs on a daily basis, and have you identified these ICPs, and how important is this when you talk to a ideal customer?
Absolutely. So uh, uh, this totally depends on different parameters, I would say, regionally. And like it depends. Like if we come from a fintech background, the startup which I was working for, I was part of, is a fintech startup. By definition, we get a lot of insights from the fintech, and then wanted to identify what are the open white spaces, and whether innovation can disrupt in this segment is something that required in order to like answer for ourselves. And then that's what helped out of the potential customer conversations. And finding ICP will take time, I would say. Like any startup will take 1-2 years of continuous progress in order to find the right ICP. And it's a continuous long-term journey. And I would say, like, it will talking to potential customers will not applicable for all the startups, I would say. Some of the startups, like a dev tool, a pure SaaS company, and the founder is a software developer by himself, and definitely they know the problems they would have faced firsthand. Okay, this is the problem I face on a daily basis, let me create a tool for it. And definitely don't need they will need a potential customer call in order to understand how much somebody is ready to pay for it,
Mhm.
to understand how to market this very well, how the customers buying behavior will look like, whether this kind of marketing will work. For those kind of thesis validation, a strategy validation, definitely the customer calls would help. But if you ask me, like what else, like how this calls will be, it will be helpful based on what the expectations of the founder is.
Got it. Got it. Got it. So, Satya, since you are from a fintech company, you're from a fintech background, right? So, if someone who is looking forward to start a company in fintech, or if someone is looking forward to solve a problem in a fintech industry, because even the Tamil Nadu chief minister also said like they're gonna set up a fintech hub. They're gonna make Tamil Nadu has a fintech hub of India, right? So how do you think the fintech industry it is? Like, what is the mass market validation, or some any other insights like, hey, this is a very big problem, or this is another problem that fintech industry is also facing, or any other problem that you have came across but it's not solved yet, and the opportunity of the fintech market that you'd like to share.
Absolutely. Fintech in India is 100% regulated, I would say. RBI always and forever will want the best interest for its citizens. And it is a little bit hard for any fintech, new age fintech, in order to build more innovative products, also in the same time complying with RBI, also in the same time get good banking partnerships to be in place. But it's the I would say this is the very perfect and absolutely great time to build fintech startups. And since the generational AI models are coming in, there are very limited use cases found so far using AI models inside a fintech industry or any SaaS industry. So far, people were using AI models only for like a content creation or image edition, or just video editing and scratching surface around coding, much of smaller stuff. But the real use cases are yet to figure out. And I would say, like, I believe that in this decade or next decade, the next generational companies which are going to rule for next a decade or like 100 years, a century or so, will be born. And uh, definitely there are huge white spaces. The industry going to be changed, just like how computers changed from 1990s. I think this is the time, like 2030 will be the time for big change. And people, startups from Tamil Nadu, definitely, yes, the government is a lot of supportive. I have seen firsthand when we applied for a program called Tansy. Initially, the first time they told us we are very early, we have more better startups who are very matured startups to support. You can probably apply the next time. And we applied the next time. That time we had a good amount of traction with us. We were little bit matured and we were about to go full time. And they recognized us, and they gave us a small grant to support our problem. And we are happy with them. And this is something Tamil Nadu government is very supportive about. And in terms of founders who are starting from Tamil Nadu, they will have this thing always. And finding best banking partnership would be a little bit like difficult, and finding use cases would be difficult. Um, any use cases which is okay, simply it boils down to, if the problem is already solved, there are hundreds of people will be solving it. And it will be a pricing war, it will be a customer experience war, something one of this. And the market will be like very small for it. And if the problem is really hard to solve because of the regulation, because of some reason which is not to be solved, and that is the scenario of the climate of fintech in India now. A lot of fintech really worked very well for the past 1 decade, and then A bunch of great companies come out of it. MobiKwik, Freecharge, or a couple of them, and bunch of other startups also doing really well. And it will take a good amount of time for banks to develop more advanced products, which covers end to end and also adds a lot of value to whatever the use cases people build on top of the banking stack. That is something which is yet to come.
Yeah, yeah. Even that's really great to hear from you. And I think I have asked you so many questions regarding the fintech, regarding your background, and also your startup. And I've shot so many questions, and I think I have received an enormous amount of answers and a great insight about the industry too. And if you have anything to share to, people who are just starting out or people who are just out of the college and really thinks about how to, start their own startup or, uh, you know, this is common question. This is being, given to the students and the early startup founders, right? So gain some work experience for the next 5 to 10 years, and once you're settled down, start your company. And what would be your point of view on that? And if you can just tell me in a very shortest line, and how will you tell that?
This is very hard question to answer. Like personally, I would share my experience and the best thing out of it. Coming from a very small background, a small family who had so much things to take care. I had too many liabilities to take care. I need to manage my parents, and a lot of people might be same alike. If you have so much of liabilities, consider your background and then consider your financial status, and then do a job, do like go extend your time, work 8 hours in your job, another 8 hours in the part-time, like whatever the side hustle you are doing. Try to do this way. If you have the courage, to take risk and the bandwidth and to also take care of your family, just don't think about anything, just try out whatever you are having ideas. Like we will regret of not trying, that is for sure. And we will never know that whether this idea will work, that idea will work, or we never know that. It is always best way to talk to the customer, find real problems, and then come up with the idea, and then build a product out of it and test in the real market, and then make a call to make it big. And that is what I would suggest to any budding entrepreneurs out there.
That's really great, Satya. And thank you, Satya. Thank you for joining this podcast. I really enjoyed it talking to you, and I think I have gained more insight. And this will also be helpful for so many out there who are trying to build their own startup or their own fintech product in any way, right? So thank you for your time.
Sure, Ram, we'll continue to catch up over there. Thank you for the time. Thank you for giving this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, Satya, and